Welcome to the Creative Hunter Podcast. This is your host, Logan Romney. Today, I hang out with Koby Owens. I've known Koby for a few years now. Me and him are good buddies. We've been on some hunts together. But if you don't know Koby, Koby is a creative in the outdoor hunting space. So in this episode, we do a lot of talk about video, about cameras, about networking, and how to get your foot in the door with brands if that's something that you're interested in doing. Over the last couple weeks, I've been talking with a lot of brands and gear that I use personally. And so I've got a bunch of codes and discounts for you. So if you want to check some of that stuff out, go down below in the description of this podcast or this video, depending on where you're watching. And you can get all sorts of discounts, up to 20% off on some of the stuff. So really awesome people and brands that I've worked with in the past and that I like to use. So go check that stuff out, guys. If you have any questions with stuff, hit me up, DM me on Instagram, or shoot a comment here in this podcast. And as always, if you have any suggestions or things that you want to know about or hear about or people that you want to hear from, shoot me messages, DM me, put it in descriptions below, and we'll work on getting that type of content to you guys. So without further ado, Koby Owens, here you go. Okay, Koby Owens, how's it going, man?
Good to see you, buddy.
Good, dude. You too. How you been?
Good, just working away over here. It's been busy. I just finished up a big project today on a release video for a new rifle coming out here end of the month. So I got to get a couple other things done. Then I get to head on a personal raft trip here in mid-May. So
Oh, nice. Coming up then. That's fun.
yeah, and then right after that, my boss Tyler and I will be hunting with the Onyx boys over for Missoula in Montana for spring bears. So
Nice. That's gonna be fun,
good
dude.
couple
It's like
weeks.
it's getting perfect time for spring bear for most places. It's finally the snow's melting enough. You can get up in some good country now. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. I just listened to your pod with Jamin, and I talked to you right when you got out from that hunt, and that sounded
Yeah.
like a good one. That was a fun one. The way you did that with the daily updates.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun. It's like taking a hunt film, but then just putting it in a podcast style.
Yeah,
A
and you
little
never
bit.
know when you could use some of that podcast stuff for like your film too. You might drop some good lines in it that would relate back to that.
It's so true. Yeah, been working on that film a lot recently. I have like there's like two parts to it. So there's gonna be the part where I kill my bear and then the part where Jamie kills his bear.
Nice.
And I've got like the whole rough cut of like the first half of the hunt where I killed my bear just finished today. So that'll be good. Still a lot to go, a lot of revision, and then I got to work on Jamie's part. So lots of
Sweet.
stuff.
Okay, so how are you editing these films? Because I've kind of implemented a couple new strategies lately that I feel like have been helpful and like kind of sped up the process. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll just tell you what I'm doing, and then you can tell me if you're doing anything special. Maybe we'll learn something from each other on that. Because
Yeah.
my video editing has a long ways to go, and I know it.
Oh yeah. Me
But
too.
I edit in DaVinci, and you've been editing in DaVinci lately, correct?
Yep. I'm in DaVinci. Been doing
What's
that
your
for a while, but
what's your thoughts on that compared to Premiere? Because you used Premiere for quite a long time before that.
yeah, definitely, dude. I like DaVinci. There's only a couple things like, and I'm on the free version. So if people don't know, DaVinci has a free version or a paid version, whereas like most everything else, you have to pay for it. Um, so that's a big plus. And on the free version, I don't think there's only like a couple features that I would like to have that are on the paid version, like the denoise. I
Yeah.
wish I had, but that's like basically it. Maybe some audio stuff that I've been trying to mess with.
Stabilize is kind of handy too. I actually use that a little bit.
Yeah, I use that, but I don't. That's not on the paid one. So, well, maybe there's some features on it that are,
Yeah.
but I
But
stabilize.
yeah, no, it's good. And even the paid one, like you said, there's not much of a difference. I ran the free one all the way until I started here at Weatherby. And
Yeah,
Now the paid one, but the paid one's only like $200 for a one-time payment rather than like,
Exactly.
you're paying more than that in a year for a subscription. So, but yeah, so recently I started doing dual timelines, like having two timelines up on the bottom at once.
Nice.
And you can actually tab between those because
Yeah.
when I had like interviews with people talking about this product, and I had footage from these hunts that we went on with the rifles. So I had the three people in different tabs on the bottom one, and there I have this. They're in order of kind of how the launch video is going to be struck in or constructed of like the order we asked the questions.
Right.
So like having your stuff chronological like is always a huge help
Oh,
when you're gonna
sweet.
do it chronological.
Yeah.
Um, but I use those and I could just pull them up and put them in my working timeline. Is what I called it. And then I actually used the just like the media up on the top left to use the hunt footage because I made a bin for each of those. So I just go into the bin and pull clips from the hunt footage out. So it actually this is my first time doing that, and it was second time, and it was really good.
Nice.
And then kind of making some like keyboard shortcuts. So like my slash key is like it cuts the time or the clip you're working on, and you can delete it. And then I have not a laptop, like a actual keyboard. So there's two delete buttons, right? There's like the normal one and then like the backspace one. So I
Yeah.
set those up differently because one of them ripple deletes and one of them just deletes. So
Okay.
that way, if I want to delete and put those two clips together, I can press one. If I just want to delete that clip because I don't want to I want to replace it or something, I can hit the other one. So that's been kind of
Yeah.
handy.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah,
Similar. I do a ton of keyboard shortcuts that I've changed because it just makes everything
yeah,
so much faster. Um, and yeah, actually, like you're saying, how you have different timelines on the tabs. I've recently been doing that too because it's made everything faster. And you can take a so like what I've done that's kind of cool is in my videos I'm gonna like when I'm talking about like hey we're gonna go like kill this bear it's down here like we're gonna hike down this ridge I'm gonna have like a Onyx screenshot pop up and then like the lines draw so you can like see where we're going and where
nice.
the bears are at. And so I'll put that whole map and all the animations in a separate timeline. And I can just you can actually take the timeline from the media and drop it into your main timeline. And any changes you make in the separate timeline will automatically make the change in the main timeline. Does that make sense? You'll have to mess
Wait, say
around.
that one more time so I can.
So if I have my main timeline and then I make my mapped timeline that's separate, I'm gonna
Yep.
do all my map work and all of the I use Fusion and like make the lines draw themselves. I do all
Yeah,
that
I
in
need to learn the fusion tab.
this freaking
So you
crazy.
do all that in your one timeline and you just
Yeah.
drag and drop to your other timeline.
Well,
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's what I'm talking
in
about base.
yeah. So you know how on the media pool you can have like your timelines all laid out. It looks
Yeah,
like
different. Yep.
yeah. So you can just grab a timeline and drag it and drop it in a different timeline, and then it'll just be like a little section as big as that timeline is, and you can't like
Yeah,
make
yeah,
any
yeah.
adjustments there. But if you go to the timeline in
The
a
other timeline you
tab,
can edit it.
you can edit it, and
That's
it's like
slick.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually pretty nice. So in like with like intros of videos or something, if I want to make like an intro to a film, I can make it in a different timeline. Just paste the timeline into the main one, and then any changes I want to make, I don't have to mess with the main timeline. So
And so basically that timeline that's in another timeline shows up as like a little block that's like a
yep,
clip essentially. It can't be
exactly.
separated at all. So you can
Yeah,
just drag it to the front and then build from there.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you can make
super
all your
awesome.
changes in the separate one. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of fun, kind of cool. But
Nice.
yeah. Um nice, dude. So you've been working a bunch on that some of your is there any like cool let's see. What's kind of some of the biggest things you've learned lately on editing as far as like um, not technical things, but like storytelling things? Is there anything
Ooh.
recently that you've thought about that you've been like, oh, I need to implement that more or think about that? Or
Oh man, good question. That's I think just trying, I mean, I think we're all doing this, but even more is like just trying to get more of the motion and less talking head camera stuff. It's can
yeah,
be tough a lot, especially if you're doing like both photo and video on a trip, and you have three hunters and you are trying to get their conversations of them just chatting amongst themselves and making the plan, but you also can't abandon the like talking head stand here, hey Adam, give me the scoop. You can't abandon those because you need them sometimes, and like if you didn't get something like you thought you did.
Yeah.
But I think just trying to focus more on telling that story with how it goes rather than someone like actually telling the camera. So
Yeah.
other than like cool storytelling ideas, not off the top of my head. I mean, just been trying to survive out here too, in a way. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot. I've been at video for 2 years now. Is all is
Right.
that's when I did it. Is 2 springs ago. So I've grown so much, and being able to like piece a timeline together since I started here, going on 8 months now, and being able to put something together and just learning some of the ins and outs in DaVinci has been good, just because there's more time, right? The more
Yeah.
time you put at it, the more the things are going to make sense that you're doing, and learning a bunch of little stuff like just watching random YouTube video, like top 10 editing things in DaVinci. That's how I found that dual timeline thing. It's just trying to
Yeah.
further educate yourself from other people's resources. So
Yeah, dude. That's awesome. I agree with you with that.
what about you on the storytelling side of things for something new and creative?
Um, I that's so what you're talking about is like less talking head is I've definitely thought about because when you're self-filming stuff, it's sometimes hard to get like a lot of B-roll shots of yourself specifically
Yeah.
because you have to set the camera up and like walk in front of it and then like whatever hike by or whatever, right?
Who's
It's
the best at that is Chag.
yeah, he's pretty good, dude. His
Yeah.
videos are really good. But it takes a lot of work to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of tough. That's something I've thought about more. And like on our bear hunt, it was a little easier to do it because I had a guy, Jamin Davis, there helping film, right? So he
Yeah.
kind of was in charge of most of that stuff, and we filmed each other doing stuff, which made it a lot easier. So now editing that all that footage, I have a ton of B-roll, which is it works perfect, and actually I feel like it's working really good. Um,
You can never have too much B-roll. Like
yeah,
you really
I know
can't.
that's so true. So that's probably that's a big thing. Just thinking about storytelling is interesting because hunts like tend to tell themselves. Um, but I'm constantly trying to think of like deeper stories when
Like
I'm
the
before
story
the
within the
hunt.
story, right? Like the
Exactly.
that problem you have to overcome to get
Yep.
to the top of the mountain, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And and then documenting that while you're there because those I feel like that's something that I didn't do very well. I did a little bit, but not as good as I probably could have in this last bear hunt. Is trying to show as much of emotion when you're in the tough times because
Yeah.
um, it's hard. First of all, you don't want to like seem like it's fake emotion because like dude, there's like tough stuff going on. Like you're hiking through hills and the packs on that are 60 pounds, and you don't want to seem like you're just a weenie. Like oh this sucks. Like you don't want to complain about it, but like it does suck, and in your head you're thinking it sucks, but it's hard to kind of show that in a
Yeah.
way that is relatable. I feel like
That's where like me in specific, like I'm removed from the hunt in this situation, whereas like you guys are the hunters, you are the filmers, right? There's no one removed from that. Like, yeah, as a cameraman, I still go through that if someone misses an animal. Um, but my job is to be there disconnected to capture that emotion. So it's harder to capture that when you were actually like living in that moment, right? When the gun was off. Like that wasn't probably documented as good as it could have been if there would have been someone there that didn't have a tag in their pocket that was solely there to film something. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense of, the true emotions coming through. It's harder when you're actually to document that when you actually are involved in it.
yeah. It's true. And when as you're saying that, I'm like, oh, that's totally true. Like when I'm filming other people's hunts, like I capture all that. Like really, it's really easy to capture that.
Yeah.
but dude, it's tough. Self filming is really tough. When you're
Yeah, I
trying to
tried.
do
I
like
tried
that.
like one time, and I'm like, this isn't a road I want to go down, so I'm not gonna go down this road.
Yeah.
I deleted all that footage. I was like, I'm not gonna make anything out of this. This was not the most fun. So
Yeah, it can be hard. It's good. I'm trying to kind of plan out more hunts where I have people coming and filming too.
yeah,
Yeah. Kind of like how we did our deer hunt last year, which
yeah,
was a super good hunt. So
that was a fun one. That was
yeah,
we put that together well. I thought for what we were able to capture all that emotion, right, and be
yeah,
able to
exactly.
tell a longer story. It's kind of on the was it 45 or 55 minutes?
Oh yeah, I mean it was about 50 minutes, something in there.
Yeah, so that's on the longer side for sure. But um, yeah, what do you think on like telling longer stories like that? Or I don't think us personally would have been able to like get that into like too short of a film. Just
Yeah,
gonna put my phone on do not disturb.
yeah,
Um,
I think
but like you can condense a lot of that, but then you're not gonna tell all that. Like it's Hush, like the Hush does a good job of like they bring you along for the ride. Like they act like you are the camera, right? Like they bring you along for the ride. And
yeah,
there's that form. And ours was different from that because you were being recorded, Rain was being recorded, but we were trying to bring you along for the ride in the same way. And then there's just like a short action pack 10-minute, maybe it's like a full draw film tour where you're still telling a story. Maybe it's not as long of a hunt, but like 12 days is hard to put into a shorter form. So like,
absolutely.
what do you think? Short versus long on necessarily like being consumed, building a film out of what situation's good for what?
Dude, personally, like long films. I feel like are the way to go if you want to tell the story the right way. And like short, I don't know, dude. Like in a short film, you don't get like humor as much. You can get a little bit of humor, but like you can't learn the person that's hunting. Like you can't like learn about the hunter as much than in a longer
Mm.
film because you don't get to see the highs and lows or the emotions enough of an extent. Now, granted, like films can be like too long and be like boring if there's not enough like good footage, right? Um,
And they're literally telling you every single thing that happened,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
littlest of things. Yeah, that there's that. But no, that makes a lot of sense. What you just said is you can't like learn who that individual is and like relate with them as well. Maybe. Did you watch
yeah. I
the new
think,
Sitka film that just dropped with
dude,
Jonathan?
literally, yeah, I literally watched it like an hour ago. Really good.
It's
What
so
do you think?
good. Yeah, Riley and Matt crushed that. I know both those guys who filmed it, and they did really well. And Cole is just he's a kick in the pants. He's a good dude, and
Buddy?
and yeah, just what a story they were able to put together. And it
Yeah,
was 20 minutes right in there, and um, but it wasn't a super long hunt. So for that film, like that was the perfect length in my opinion. They
I agree.
dove into a lot deeper things outside the hunt too. So
Yeah,
I think that's something on the storytelling side, maybe not necessarily at my job now, like at Weatherby, but like something that I do have a passion and a want for is to telling the bigger story overall, not necessarily of just that hunt, but like I've worded it this way before. So it's basically like that Sitka film. It's like someone had a life altering thing happen to them. They found fly fishing or something along those lines, and then it helped heal them or inspire them or others around them. So being able to tell stories like that, I think, is a want of mine, and
yeah.
like bringing it outside of the event or whatever the film is about. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
pursuit. So
Yeah, I agree. I've always wanted to find a story like that and film something about someone with in that like and I mean everyone has a story, but like finding a story that's like truly like breathtaking and like has all the parts to it and the inspiration, it's kind of hard to find that. But I think that it's possible if you're looking for it.
yeah,
I've
well, it's
wanted to
out
do something
there
like that too. Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So on the bear hunt, did you guys bring four cameras? Did you each bring two, or what'd you do with the camera situation on the bear hunt?
No, we each brought one.
That's kind of what I was thinking about when I was listening to it. I'm like thinking about this. I was like, if I was in that situation, I think we'd each bring one. But
Yeah, we each brought one, and then I had the GoPro, which we hardly used. I think we used it once. um, but yeah, just rocking the camera bodies.
what
And
did you bring, like extra lens?
I didn't bring any lenses other than the 24 to 105 because
Mm-hmm.
Jamin has the same camera, and he packed a 50. He had the 15 to 35. He had a 24 to 70, and he had 7200. So he had
Nice.
a few lenses.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
definitely did.
yeah, yeah. He was packing most of the camera weight,
Yeah,
which
I
is
think in that situation, like I would have been about on par. Like if you're like, yeah, I'm bringing this with the 24 to 105.
yeah,
And we had the same camera. Granted, we don't, but like if
yeah,
I was in that situation, I would have
yeah.
probably left the 70 to 200 home and just rolled with the 50, 15 to 35, and then the or no,
7200.
I would have left the 24 to 70 at home, and then
Yeah,
yeah, brought the 70 to 200. Yeah,
yeah. How you liking the
but
7200?
dude, not gonna lie, I think it's a little overrated.
Yeah,
I was like, I didn't shoot with it before 7 months ago, right? Like, I never taken a photo on it because I'm like, always been told like this is a moneymaker. This lens, like if you shoot with it, you're gonna want it. So I'm like, I'm not taking a picture with that lens till I like know I can afford it and want it.
yeah,
And so when I tried it here, I'm like, yeah, it's a great lens. It produces a great image. Like you can get solid compression. I like that it's an internal zoom because of the elements we deal with. The internal zoom is so nice on that.
oh, absolutely.
But maybe I just haven't been put in the right position with it to make the magic. But I'm like, it's good. But I sold, so I built my career off 24 to 70,
Yeah,
like you did with 24 to 105, right? Like that's
yeah,
been your bread and butter for years. And
literally.
I was 24 to 70 2.8 guy, and I sold that lens. I bought the Gen 2 last about this time last year, ran it for a couple months, and was like, I need to shake things up. I need to like take pictures with different lenses and like get a different perspective. I was just feeling like I needed to expand my horizon. So I was like, I
Yeah,
sold it to Riley, MKC Riley, and um, bought a 16 to 35. I had that on a deer hunt, and then it got unfortunately destroyed, blown over
yeah,
on a tripod. That was super random, very unfortunate. And so
yeah,
I insurance claimed that, and I was like, I'm not buying that same lens. So I bought a 35 1.4 and an 85 1.4. And I have
yeah,
absolutely fallen in love with that 35 1.4. The 85
yeah,
is great, but I'm like, I'm not gonna pack that on most hunts. There's sometimes I will, like with Brian Barney this last fall when I was like, I had those two, and then the 24 to 240. Like that was the perfect like arsenal,
yeah,
like a super. I would start with those two lenses in the morning in low light because they just work so well. And the 85 is good enough for an archery kill shot on a deer video wise in the lower light. Then when I got brighter, I'd switch that 24 to 240 because it's a 3.5 to 6.3. So then I had that variable aperture with an ND filter on and put the 85 away, used the 35. I filmed most of everything I could off that 35. The look that that gives is just so good on video too. Like,
yeah,
um, so I got the 24 to 70 here at Weatherby now, and I'm back to loving it. Like, I'll get one of those for myself here eventually in a year or two, but
yeah,
I won't need, like, I don't need that lens right now personally for my personal arsenal because I'm just not doing. I'm doing a little freelance stuff here and there, some smaller stuff like this river trip I'm about to go on. Like I got some brands on board to help pay for the trip. You know, like
yeah.
Jetboil, Flask Cap. I'm talking to Turtle Box and stuff. So,
Nice.
uh, doing stuff like that. But the lenses I have right now are just perfect for that. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's good, dude. It's fun to hear kind of what you got. I've never, I have used a 7200, but not very much. I've just never had one, and
yeah,
so never been able to rock it very much. But I have the 85, and then I have a couple 50s, and to me, those like the 85 is just awesome. I love the
yeah.
85. So
I've neglected my 50 for like a long time.
yeah, oh, me too. I haven't put the
I have
50
a
on yet.
51A. If you're starting out, it is the perfect lens to buy.
Oh
I
yeah,
bought this thing for $220 used. It has a lower aperture. It's a lens. If you're starting out, you should buy your primary lens and you should buy a 50 mil. If you're really just starting out, you're fine with a 50 mil. You can pick
absolutely.
them up for any camera for $200 to $300 for a
Yeah,
1.8 faster lens. So, um, but I give that one to DJ a lot. He's the social media manager here, and he runs a camera
nice.
too. He has an A7S3 or no A7R, no, just an A7 III.
Yeah,
One I started out with for Sony, and the jump from that to the A7 IV is crazy. Like
yeah,
the A7 IV is night and day better. Now it's interesting because I have an A7R5 at work and an A7S3. S3 is very video heavy, 12 megapixel, shoots 240 frames a second and 1080. You saw the kill shot off that odd ad with that, right? Did I send that to you?
I didn't. Oh yeah, I think you did.
That's like stupid
Yeah,
slow. It's wild. The
yeah,
bolt just like floats. It's so cool. And then you can shoot 124K with audio on it. So it's a very good video lens or video camera. And then the A7R5, R's for resolution with Sony camera. So it's a 61 megapixel, like really good photo camera, but also has the same video capabilities as like an A7 IV, A7 V.
yeah.
But there's not a huge jump in like quality or difference that I see between A7 IV and A7R5. Like, yeah, a little bit. You could probably crop a little bit more in the photos and stuff, but it's not that big of a jump. Whereas, like, unless you are like doing it very heavily professionally, like the year or two old model is just perfect for what we do. We don't need
Oh yeah.
the newest.
No, I know. Like Kaya Mays, I don't know if she still is, but she was shooting on like 5Ds. I think she still is,
Yeah,
which is like, and
those
both
things
are
are absolute workhorses,
oh
though. I
dude,
mean, like they've been in
they
it. If they've been out for 10 years, like they have to have been out for 10 years, and
yeah,
they're still an
well,
industry
probably.
standard for Canon. Like
Yeah,
I bet that still over 50% of wedding photographers out there have them.
so true. They're on a 5D or 7D or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun, dude. Nice. So I want to talk about because I've had some people ask about talking about this topic on the podcast, and I thought of you because I feel like you are probably the best at this out of anyone I know, and it's networking. And so
Oh,
networking is like a huge thing, dude, that I think actually gets overlooked quite a bit with most people who want to get into this space because networking doesn't really sound like something in a hunting industry that's very important, but it's probably, in my opinion, tell me what you think, but it's probably the most important thing.
by far. If
Yeah.
you are the best with a camera, if you are far above your peers with a camera, and you don't know how to talk to an individual within a brand, the 30 people behind you that are able to treat someone like a person and have a conversation and make friends with people within brands is going to get the job. Like if they're average with the camera, it's about who you know. It truly is. And the word networking has been a big part of our lives for a number of years now, but every year that goes on, it just gets not necessarily harped on by other people, but like it's just like pounded in that like this is the most important thing. I was actually just on a podcast last night with some folks up in Canada, and she does some content creation herself with around their brand, and she was asking me kind of the same question about like being the best with the camera or knowing someone from within. It's night and day to me. A good example is like way back when I was like starting to actually try and like want to work with brands like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Um, First time going to the Western Hunt Expo, and a year before that, I had an FHF bino harness for a couple of years. I started seeing that Rick was their photographer guy, kind of in house there. Followed him, liked his pictures, commented on his pictures like they were good, and I didn't really know this strategy at the time. Like I kind of did, but I was just like came buddies with him. We'd chat on Instagram, and first time I met him in person at Western Hunt Expo, first thing he said to me like was, Koby, we're getting so busy, like I can't handle all the photography. We need someone external to do it. Can you do that for us? Like he didn't even say, dude, what's up? It was like that was the first thing he said to me. And I was like,
Nice.
yeah, I'd love to. And so building that relationship and showing that you're a person before you come into that transactional state is as important as everything. You don't necessarily, there is the time and place for it, but you don't necessarily need to approach a brand asking for something and asking to get paid.
Yeah.
um, there's another guy I know who has like a kind of media agency in Missoula. He was on a podcast and he dropped a piece of knowledge that I was just like, dang, if I ever go back to freelancing, I'm using this. So he does for his retainer contracts, he'll run like a 3, 6, or 12-month contract. And if it's someone he's never worked with before, like this is someone who's good and is like very much established himself. But you could do this when you're coming up still, like once you have a little bit under your feet. But he'll, if he hasn't worked with them before, he'll offer him a trial run. Like, hey, let's go shoot this. He's obviously going to get paid for that on a one-time deal. And he's like, if it goes well, let's sign this retainer for X amount. And then if it doesn't, we'll go our way. So he gives them a trial run, shows them the evidence that he can present their product how they want it to be seen. And then if he checks all those boxes, like he's got himself a retainer, so being creative with the options you can offer brands, like you have to bring value to the table, no matter what that is. Like if it's not value based or you're not solving a problem for them, the time of day you're going to get from them, like once you've established yourself in uh, like I did with Rick in that situation, once you've established yourself, then you can present that. And if you solve a problem for them, it's and a lot of times a no brainer. So
Yeah. I like that. That's awesome, dude. Um, Walk me through a little bit if so for people who are just brand new, coming into this industry, they want to get into the photography and film stuff. Where do you start? Like where like maybe they've know their way around the camera. They just want to start getting clients. Like where would you start, or where did you start? Kind of finding your first clients, like just like you talked about FHF. Like what are some other ones that you've?
yeah, so it was FHF and Alpen fuel at that time, and
Yeah,
that was because I established a relationship via social media through the Instagram, and then met them at Western Hunt Expo. But I think events like Western Hunt Expo are, whatever your industry is, if there's some sort of event like that, that is truly the most important thing you can do to network. Like
yeah,
that FaceTime and showing who you are as an actual person, they'll remember that face more than that DM, right? So you have to associate yourself, and like Jamin flies out for the east from the East Coast for these things. It's like you have to
sure,
invest in yourself and put in the effort. So I think that, like, number one, like investing in yourself, whatever that looks like. For us, it was taking the hunting photographer,
yeah,
learning on the business side of things. The thing with freelancing is I'd say it's 66% business and then 33% the other stuff, which is editing, time in the field, this and that, all the random stuff. But it is 66% business, making an invoice, making a pitch deck, um, making a contract that is like, don't try and just sign up with a brand and like expect to get paid. Cause I know people who have done that and they didn't have a contract in place and they're still waiting for their money years later.
yeah,
You don't have, even if it's someone just I make my contracts on Google Drive. If you're someone that's just starting out and you're just like, I don't know where to start, seriously, hit me up. I can send you an outline. Like Logan uses the same outline as that
I
I've
do.
built. I part of it I developed and part of it I took from one of my mentors who was kind enough to show me what he did. And he works in the industrial space. He's like big contract stuff,
Yeah,
bigger contract stuff. So these are like serious contracts. But I think you need to do that. And then starting out, I mean, maybe even shoot some stuff on spec a little bit. Whereas like you have the product, maybe you already own it, maybe you go out and buy it. It's a backpack or a bino harness, and you're like, maybe know the people, maybe you don't. You're like, hey, like, um, I took this out and I was able to produce these images, and like this is what I can do for you. So, um, providing a brand with value and not just being like, hey, I got this cool trip. I'd love your product to take some photos, but maybe you take the incentive and show their product in a way that maybe another photographer hasn't shown it. Um, just be creative with it and it might gain some traction. But just circling back to it, just network in person, those on expos, especially for the hunting industry. That Salt Lake one is the best to go to, best bang for your buck. Most
Oh,
brands,
absolutely.
most people. Sheep shows an incredible time, but it's for someone starting out. Wouldn't be like, I wouldn't say go to this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been to sheep show, but I think it is. I think like you're saying,
Mhm.
it's not there's not as many people as you want. Maybe just the environment's a little different.
There's two
But yeah,
parts to Sheep Show. There's like the on the floor expo with the booths and stuff, and then there's
right.
like the banquet dinners at night with
Yeah,
kind of like, brands have tables. A lot of big names are there. They all go to the circle bar afterwards and everything and chat. And yeah, I met some good people at that. There we go. The sun was coming in through the uh, window,
yeah,
pretty brutal.
yeah.
But
Let's see. Some of the other things we would do at expos
yes,
is like the books.
yep.
That was
I
huge.
came I came up with that idea. I was
Yeah.
sitting in my cabin in Condon, and I like came up with this. I don't even remember how I came up with it. I'm like, dude, I told you, I'm like, dude, we have to make books for this. We gotta like, because if this was the second year we were gonna go. The first year it was like, hey, I'm Kobe. I'm a photographer. These are the photos I take, right? And then like that next year is like, we're able to present someone with our work to physically look through to see what we do, touch it, feel it. Means more than flipping through a couple photos on your phone screen. And
I'm gonna grab mine.
then
It's right here. I think I can show it.
yeah, I got mine back here, but the next year, then we made like pamphlet pitch decks for a certain project we were doing. So having something creative that can show your work off physically, not on the phone, not a business card that someone's gonna stick in their pocket that they get 50 of, right? If you're talking to the right person. But make a little book like this. Those are what, $70 off Blurb?
Yeah, they were
There's a
not.
tab. We built these on Lightroom. There's a tab in Lightroom called Book. You can format your book, build it out, and then these are like $70 on Blurb. The one thing I will say is I now do a book that's a lay flat.
Oh yeah,
Um, the lay flat version is more expensive. I went more premium paper on it. Uh, might be like $150, I think.
yeah,
But it's a little nicer to look at. There's not that crease in the middle. But build something like that. You're like you and two buddies drew. Well, actually, it's not through draw season when you're going to expos. So you have general tags in whatever state you live in, or something like that, and you're like, okay, two of us are camera guys, one of us is good buddy. We're gonna go and we're gonna film this hunt, and you make a pitch deck that's like, okay, here are the people involved. Um, this is what we can provide. We're going to provide 15 edited images per brand. We're going to offer a sponsorship logo in the film. If they add, and you can put in here like ask for requests of media or something like that as well, and something along those lines, and do a little write up on it. And this area, this is the scope of the hunt, and this is what the final edit's going to look like. Like ours was, hey, we're going to film at Total Archery Challenge to show that preparation for the hunt. We're then going to tie that into the main film of these two characters hunting. These are the camera guys. And then this is the story. We are going high country mule deer hunting, early season backpack hunt. We're going to grind it out and be able to produce a film off of it. So if you lay it out as an actual, like, not just, hey, we want to film this hunt for you. If you actually lay it out for a brand to understand what's going on, there's more of a likely traction that you're going to gain. What do you think?
yeah. Anyone who's willing to put something like that together is gonna like you're miles ahead of anyone else. And thinking ahead and knowing like, all right, I have like these 4 hunts I'm gonna be going on and filming this fall. Like, what brands can I get on board? if you have like a total like printed out pitch deck that goes through everything and that you can hand to someone and they can look through it and maybe keep it, like that will just increase your professional look and your value tenfold. Like it's pretty crazy. We had a lot of people pretty impressed when we were doing that for our film last year, and we didn't do anything like that this year. We just didn't have anything planned out. But like if someone wants to get their foot in the door and they know they have the skills to create imagery or video, or it could be one or the other or both of them. Um, like that's a big place to start if you want to start getting your foot in the door with some brands. Um, and now's a good time of the year, especially like the summertime. Like start reaching out to brands and just building a relationship and not asking for anything. And then by the time next year's expo comes around, like pitching brands and getting that stuff rolling. Like that's kind of the way to do it. It's a grind, but it's just reaching out and being consistent about it and putting in the work before the hunt to get all those brands and sponsors and whatnot.
Yeah,
um
two things off of that is, yeah, you're gonna stand out for sure, and also it's like it's a trigger in their mind too of like if you then follow up with them with an email or DM or however the contact is gonna work, it's gonna trigger in their mind like, oh yeah, I remember this guy. He came with a book or a pamphlet. It's
oh
you're
yeah,
gonna have something to remember you by than just another face that handed them a business card.
for sure.
It creates a trigger point for them.
There's a lot of
Um,
a lot of guys who hand business cards out
yeah,
for sure. I don't even
and
carry.
yeah, the second thing is like, yeah, with our pamphlet, there was like I've never seen marketing directors like that impressed with like, you guys put this together and like this is like so smart. Why do more people not do this? I was
Yeah,
like, well, like we knew it was going to be good, but it was a pretty big hit. And even if it's your first year going, first year doing, you don't know any brands, do that, and maybe you get one brand, maybe you get
yep,
two, maybe you get five. But if you can get your foot in the door with one, like it's a start, and then you're like, okay, then you make some connections with other brands, and then you come back the next year and like, hey, remember me last year? You don't even have to say that, but if there's a good chance if you come back with something similar and have your game will have been elevated like by a
absolutely.
bit at that time. Like a year, if you're committed to it, is like when you look back in your year, like really, that's been like a year. That's wild how much I've grown. It's pretty cool to
Yeah,
look back.
it's way cool.
So
Yeah, I look back a lot on work, like even this book that we made. It's a little bit embarrassing sometimes because I'm like, oh, I could do that. Like I can make that just the format of the book way better now, and like
yeah,
photos from this like the last year or two are just way
and one of
better.
the biggest things I notice on some of my photos I look back on is it's not necessarily the photo itself. Like there's some of them they're like, oh, I could have made that better now, but it's like the edit on the photo, like the
Yeah,
how the
for sure.
color looks or the lighting. You're like, whoa, like I'm doing stuff quite a bit differently now. Like my look's different. Um, like once I learned how to color photos, like not just like basic edits, like the
Yeah,
jump my work took was wild. That color grade tab and the other color tab in Lightroom Classic are just I don't hardly touch it, not use it on a photo now.
yeah, so true. It's true.
Thank you, Cam, Killa Cam. He taught me that. Well,
Oh, nice. I've never learned that actually. I've just kind of trial and errored a bunch of color stuff and made my own
I don't
things.
really know what I'm doing. I just drag stuff till it looks good. But he like kind of gave me
So
basic like do this or that and like showed it to me and
funny.
it like exposed me to it. Before I just ignored it. So, but yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I just drag sliders till they look good. That's really what photo editing is.
Nice, dude. Yeah, that's what I do. That's funny. Um, do you have any? So you have your personal projects coming up. So you have the float trip you're going
Yep,
on.
got the float trip. Um, Other than that, for personal projects, just like I'll shoot some stuff for Dark Energy on that trip. Do a
Yeah,
little bit for them still. Then I'm getting a new raft. I don't know if I think I told you that.
you did tell me
Yeah.
that.
So be hitting the fishing hard this summer when I can, and then also backpack fishing to lakes and stuff.
Nice.
I think we're gonna try and line something out late summer. Hopefully,
Yeah.
get a meetup in, but nothing too crazy project wise on the personal side of things. Like I got like 6 films to edit for Weatherby. We are doing a film festival in July, end of July, July 31st here in Sheridan, Wyoming. It's a nice Wednesday evening, so that'll be super fun. Have some films playing at that. Um,
Heck
got some
yeah.
cool stuff I got to tell you about when we jump off here,
Okay.
actually, about that. So
Nice. Yeah, that'll be fun. You told me about that film festival the other day. That sounds sweet. If anyone's in that Sheridan area, you gotta go check that out
for
and
sure, come say hi. I'll be
around,
there.
go see Kobe. Um, and then oh, I had something but I lost. Oh yeah. Um, what are you? Have you been running or going to the gym or anything?
No, not too much. I'm still actually hurting from New Zealand, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I've just been stretching and like trying to
Good.
move a little bit. So I don't think I'm gonna make it this summer to some event that I was kind of planning on doing.
Oh, dang.
Unfortunately, but
Bummer.
no, I am gonna start training here after the river trip. Finally
Nice.
have more than 2 weeks at home and feel like I can actually get a gym membership and not feel like I'm just paying for nothing. So
Yeah,
I'll start hitting the gym this summer, just
good.
prepping for hiking those heavy packs all fall.
Yeah, dude. Dude, I train more for this bear hunt than I've trained for hunts.
You've been
And
getting after it.
yeah, but dude, I was like still like, oh, I should have trained more. Like I needed to do more leg stuff, and I don't
It's
think that there's
that
ever a
like
point.
spring hunt though that's like,
Oh yeah, it's true.
you've been out if maybe I mean maybe not this year, I haven't, but like you've been out shed hunting a little bit, you've been out moving and working out and stuff, and then that's first spring hunt though, you just don't have your legs underneath you.
Yeah,
um
so true.
I actually didn't do too bad in New Zealand. I
That's
mean,
good.
also it was nice that I wasn't out with like you and people my age. It
Yeah,
was, like mid people in their mid 40s, so I was like, oh, that's handy.
yeah.
Their packs were like under 20 pounds, and I'm just over here lugging like 50 around. I'm like, oh, this is so much fun.
Like yeah, the life of a cameraman, right?
But yeah, and I bring that big Swaro of a
Yeah,
95 ATS around everywhere. It's like
dude.
9 pounds.
That is heavy. Do you think that there's a Canon adapter to go on a Sora like that?
That's what it is. I have a Sony to Canon adapter.
Oh, no way. Freak. Send me that. I want to see it.
It's it's a sweet piece, but it's also like $750.
Oh, dang. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll put it on my
Um,
wish list.
I had this conversation with Jeff from P and Wild a week or two ago
Yeah, I
on
was
like,
on the podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
of a whole conversation on what is the best setup. I actually referenced you on that, just how you're like really dang good with a spotter. And so if you're dang good with a spotter, like I honestly don't think there's that much with how good phone cameras are these days. I don't think there's that much of a down in quality by doing phone scope stuff.
Yeah,
And a
I
lot
don't
of the
either.
times it's easier. So
Yeah.
I think
It's
you're
way
fine
more,
with your
way
setup.
lighter. Yeah, because you're gonna have a spotter with you anyways. So my thoughts are like, why pack a spotter and a long lens? Like just and if you could film through the spotter in 4K, like you can just zoom in the spotter. It's not like you have to crop in on your phone or anything. Like it's I
Yeah.
don't know. To me, I don't think it's worth carrying a long lens just
No.
for the sake of shooting kill shots and animal footage.
No,
But
I
everyone's different.
agree. And like my system's different because so what we're talking about is my camera actually attaches to
Yeah.
the spotter. So there's an adapter that I click my camera into like a lens, and then it clamps on to the back of the eyepiece. So mine's a straight spotter. You could do it on an angle too, but it
Yeah.
clamps onto that, and so I'm able to video with the Sony cameras through it. I will say it can be a little touchy on the focus because you're doing the focus ring, right?
Uh-huh.
To get full focus. So I actually put peaking on typically when I'm in there because
Gotcha.
I've been off a little bit before, and it's like a little bit in that is actually a decent amount of clarity. It's like a
Yeah.
micro fraction. It's way touchier. But That's a good setup, and I wouldn't use any other system right now in the position I'm in. So
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. I haven't seen that setup, but you just told me about it, and I've seen some of the footage from it, and it's really good.
yeah,
So
and like if you can shoot 200, most of the time I'm shooting 124K,
yeah,
and that's sweet. That's 4 times slow mo. So in 4 or 5, and the 240 frames a second is insane. Like
I
the
bet.
bullet just floats. The vapor trail is so cool. I've gotten some of the sick vapor trails since I've been here on stuff. It's been fun.
That's cool.
I
Yeah,
don't think I'm trying to think. I don't think I've missed a kill shot yet. Like I've had 2 doubles and I got both of them
dang,
in New
that's awesome.
Zealand. I didn't get Brenda's chamois, but I wasn't with her and Adam. I was like 100 yards away on a different finger ridge, and I videoed them because I couldn't see the chamois.
Oh yeah,
And then Joseph's tar was we weren't there yet,
yeah.
but everything else it's like both those odd out in Texas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. I've gotten like 12 kill shots in a matter of 8 months on video.
That's so cool, dude. Just racking them
And that
up.
was like one of the more difficult things I've thought that I've struggled with it. I've gotten them, but I've struggled with it before. Like one moment that comes to mind is in Mexico. I could not find that dang thing. Like that, the coups are hard to find, and I just could
These
not
are
get on this thing. And I got so dang frustrated. That's like the most frustrated I've ever been trying to film something in my life.
yeah. That was a whole tough moment to capture.
Yeah,
But
but
what do you do? We got it. Speaking of that, I was starting to edit it until the bear hunt, and then
yeah,
I, yeah, I have not had a lot of time
I
because it's
feel
not
like
really.
that's one of those pieces. It's like when it comes out, it's going to be good. It's never going to date itself. So if
No, I
you
think you're
take your
right.
time on it and just kind of piece it together, because there's both of us in 8 deer. We didn't film every one of them, but like
Yeah,
6 of them probably. So that has
yeah,
a potential to be a pretty cool piece eventually. I
it
think
does.
I guess personal project wise, I do have about 800 gigs of footage from Colombia a year
Oh
ago
yeah,
from a fishing trip that I think I might try and start editing away on and do like a full drum film tour, or short film submission, or no, fly fishing film festival. Not we're
yeah,
talking hunting
nice.
now and fishing, but yeah, I have so much from that, and it could be pretty good. I have like the thing is I have to send about an hour of native interviews down to Colombia to get translated and figure out how to subtitle, and that's going to be the
Oh,
hard part. Um,
dude, I bet you could find someone who speaks a language. What is the
dude,
language?
it's jungle tongue.
Oh no way.
It's this tribe in the jungle.
So you have
Yeah.
that's the only
So
way.
that's the thing is it's kind of Latin American Spanish, but it's jungle tongue. Like it's not.
Yeah,
So the owner of the outfit was there with us, and he can speak it and he'll be able to translate it. But
nice.
I just it's a beast. So
Yeah. So as far as some of your work with Weatherby, you're the only thing that's your work right now is the Sorex drop, right?
yeah, so the only thing on YouTube from Weatherby that I filmed and edited is the Sorex launch video. There's a
Yeah.
couple mule deer tour videos that I edited that I walked into that I
Oh,
dealt
nice.
with the footage I had. That was tough. That was really tough. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
editing other
from
people's work.
June on for like the next year, we'll have a piece that I filmed and edited every month dropping on our YouTube. So we got a lot in the
Nice.
I came in the busy season. I'm working on those edits right now. Um, but yeah, if you go on our social media on Instagram or I guess Facebook, I don't have Facebook, but we post on there too, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
all my work is, I'd say, about 80% of the feed right now. Another 5-10% is stuff that's like previous stuff that we just roll in still, but we're starting to build up a good library of everything. And then DJ, the social media guy, also runs the camera and does some Factory Friday stuff and films like turkey hunts. He's up in Saskatchewan right now. They're snow goose hunting, and then they did shoot a bear as well. So
Oh, cool.
But yeah, and then like the website, any new rifles that have come out since I started working here, like all the white background photos I've taken. And let me tell you, I couldn't open Photoshop before I showed up. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, how do you even open this? It's a
That's great.
beast. But I
Yeah,
learned a lot. And so I cut those out now and take all those photos and then everything for like launch videos. And then like our graphic sliders on Instagram is what we call them. It's like our stories or our feed post of like the new product with the features. Capture all that stuff to build all those assets with. So it's capturing everything from launch videos to assets to launch a new product, and then films, reels. We film the podcast. Deej edits the podcast though, thankfully. Takes Having him there is just amazing because he can run a camera. He understands what I'm talking about. I can ask him questions like, "Hey, what do you think about this versus that?" We sit next to each other, and then I don't have to post on social media. I don't have to manage that. He edits the podcast, so he does a lot of creative stuff as well. But it takes a big load off me and lets me focus on like creating the better film or focusing on this hunt and capturing the best stuff that I can because I don't have to worry about the little stuff that we do over here.
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, having that person there that can help you get all that those little things. That's a big deal. That's awesome.
agreed.
Nice, dude. Well, where can people find you?
On the Instagram, it's Koby.Owens. It's Koby. I think I have like 3 YouTube videos or something, same under my name. If you want to watch my work, there's as much on Logan's page as anywhere. So, yeah, that's about
Heck
it.
yeah. Awesome. Well, Kobe, thanks for coming on. We'll do this again sometime, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
Thanks for
I've
listening,
been looking
guys.
forward to it since you started talking about having a pod. So it's good to be here.
Heck yeah, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Catch you later.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Kobe is awesome. Go check him out on Instagram and on YouTube. If you want to see one of the films that me and Kobe did together, you can go on my YouTube channel, and it's the High Country Archery Mule Deer Hunt that we did. It was sponsored by a few brands that are awesome: Onyx, Hardside Hydration, Montana Knife Company, and we put together a really good film. That was just this last fall, but. Anyways, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to check out any of the brands that I use and get discounts on that gear, go check out the descriptions below, and it shows you a whole list of a lot of the stuff that I use: gear, food, all sorts of like everything from game bags to hydration to breakfast meals from Alpen Fuel. All that stuff is down there. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you guys next week.